Win big with new DRF All Access past performances. With one best-in-class product, you now get all three past performance formats. Go to DRF.com and use coupon code 1FREEPP for a free single card today.
Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer. It's New York Showcase Sunday at Belmont at the Big A, and the feature race is the Empire Classic, concluding the card, race number 10. It's at 1 1/8, $250,000 for the New York breds. Let's take a look at this field. Drake's Passage is the 2-1 morning line favorite, although Drake's Passage hasn't been seen since early in the Saratoga meet, and he did not run well in his most recent start.
No, the most recent start wasn't good. It was a fast-paced race over a wet track, Dan, but it was disappointing. He's been freshened up since then. Obviously, he's better than the most recent running line, that's for sure.
He was third behind the superstar marathoner next to back in the open grade 2 Brooklyn. And according to the Timeform US pace projector, we can expect to see at least a little bit of speed from Drake's Passage. Here's where Timeform US has them after the opening half mile. Pace is expected to be quick. Mama's Gold does have speed. So does Cicciobello, the 7. But Drake's Passage is very comfortable when he is close to the pace. And I just think Manny Franco's got to take advantage of the rail draw and go.
Yeah, trips are actually pretty important to Drake's Passage, too. We'll see. I suppose if the pace is indeed fast, it could work against him, Dan. Not sure, how fast I would expect this thing to get. I do think Mama's Gold and Cicciobello want to be forward in here. I didn't necessarily see them hooking up on a fast pace.
If the pace is hot, Jackson Heights, the number 9, who is expected to be so far back, he's not even on your pace projector, has the fastest Timeform US late pace rating. Let's start things off with Drake's Passage. He aired going 1 1/8 over a muddy track in the Commentator at Saratoga during the little Belmont Stakes Racing Festival meet, but it was a day where he got to the lead. It seems Speed was doing well all week that week at Saratoga. He ran fine in the Brooklyn. He was never going to beat those horses Next and Crouppy. The last race is the head scratcher. It's off the turf. He's a dirt horse. He was bad. Then there's a layoff. You could argue 2-1 is an underlay considering that last race.
Maybe you could. He is a horse. It's at least worth pointing out that he's bounced back from poor performances before. So, and he has been freshened up since then. So maybe there was, a little bit of an issue that Clement had to take care of. Listen, as I said in the open, Dan, I mean, he could easily win this race. To me, I don't want to go on a big song and dance here. I'm just not a fan of this horse. I think he looks better on paper than he actually is on the racetrack. I think he's a little dressed up with some of those figures that he has. And as I mentioned before, trips are really important to him. Maybe he gets a good one here and wins. I just would never bet him at 2-1. I won't be shocked when he wins.
Speaking of bouncing back from a poor performance, Donegal Surges was not good in the Evans Shipman. Maybe it was the muddy track, but he was odds on that day and did not run very well. This race we're going to show you, an open first level allowance, was a very important race in the career for Donegal Surges. And right about here at the 3/16 pole, he's down inside, and it looks like he's going nowhere fast. But Kendrick Carmouche is able to alter him out into the clear. And once he sees some sailing, two things happen. A, he kicks, and B, the leaders start to tire at the right time.
Yeah, listen, once he altered course there, he really does finish up pretty well in here. If nothing else, Dan, I guess it just suggests that 9 furlongs is no issue for this horse. I think that was one of the questions going into that last one. The obvious other question was what happened in the Evans Shipman and can he bounce back from it? But he did do that. I would just point out, and I think this horse is a major contender in here. I do think there's still upside for this horse. We picked up that replay in the stretch where he did have to alter course and then ran. He got a perfect trip in that race, though, sitting in behind a very contested pace.
Russian Realm is the number 3. He's very, very lightly raced. He's only raced 4 times on dirt, never been off the board. He has a ton of upside potential, and I do think there's a little talent here. Here's his most recent start. Wet track, going a 1-turn mile at Belmont at the Big A. He's on the outside right now, and he's going to surge by these horses. It takes him a while. You can see he's still learning. Right now, he's flailing away on his left lead. He changes over, and then he grinds this thing out. The way he did grind it out, Mike, makes me think maybe 1 1/8 is within his wheelhouse.
Yeah, I think it might be too. I'll be honest, Dan, I'm not blown away by this performance, but he did get the job done here. I'm with you. I feel like longer distances could actually work for this horse, and that was also on a wet track, which he didn't have to love because his prior form was really trending the right way over fast dirt. I don't know, man. I thought he was a tough call in here. He's a price. I thought it would, take a little something for this horse to actually defeat all of these other horses in here. But I do think there's potential here, and he'll probably have a pretty good year as a 4-year-old.
When Donegal Surges didn't show up in the Evans shipment, Bank Frenzy made them pay with an off-the-pace rally. Now, we tried those tactics in this race, his most recent start at open second-level allowance, and you could argue that race flow and trip worked against him. It was a slow pace. He was wired by this horse, Nelson Avenue. He had to come wide into the stretch. Yes, he was up against it from a race flow standpoint. He's going to likely get a better one on Sunday. I just didn't love the horses he was in against in here.
It didn't seem like the strongest 2X field in the world, that's for sure. And he's rallying at the end of this race, Dan, but he can't get there. Certainly, dynamics seem to hurt him. He ran well in the shipment 2 starts back. He is a prior winner going this distance and over this track, but he got loose on the lead that day over a sloppy track. I respect the fact that he's versatile enough to do it with or without the lead, and I don't think he's overmatched by these horses. More than anything else, Dan, I was turned off by the price. I wouldn't bet him at 3-1.
Olympic Dreams looks like a bit of a sleeper. He was wired last time out in a high-level claimer, and the fact that these sharp connections took him for $80,000, I think, is a very good sign. And I'm sure they claimed him and decided, let's freshen him up and run him back in with New York breds in the Empire Classic. He has plenty of backability.
He really does, and it's also he's one of the horses in here. Yeah, he loves this track and he loves this distance. This is what Olympic Dreams wants to do. To me, his form is just really, really dirtied up. After that long battle back at the end of March there, where he won with an 89 buyer, they run him in the Excelsior, which was a huge speed track, and he had absolutely no chance that day. They run him in a grade 2 on turf, and then he's off the layoff last time up at Saratoga on a sloppy track against a really good field. I don't think this horse is at his best on a wet track either. This horse is dirtied up a little bit, off the claim for dangerous connections, and has back races to make him a contender.
Picks up Flavian Pratt. The 6's General Banker. He's been a consistent horse throughout his career for Jimmy Ferraro, and he got the job done last time out in an open first-level allowance. Let's watch General Banker take advantage of a fast pace. They were really cooking with gas on the lead. That second quarter mile, sub-23. General Banker hung back, made a strong run, and it was nice to see him get through his open first-level condition.
Yeah, it was. I'm a fan of this horse. I gave up on this horse, Dan. 3 starts back at Saratoga. I thought that was a perfect spot for him. Really didn't think he could lose that race, and he hung like a chandelier in the stretch. I haven't forgiven him for it yet. Nice to see him win there. Don't think the added distance does him any favors here.
Cicciobello was beaten by Bank Heights in the Evans shipment, although he ran pretty well being part of that pace. Beaten by Jackson Heights 3 starts back. He needed a trip out of town to get to the winner's circle. Derek Ryan got him to Monmouth most recently. This is a first-level allowance there, going a 2-turn mile. Cicciobello is very game. He's down inside. It looks like he could be in trouble, but he's just going to get the better of this horse on his outside. This field has come back very weak.
Yeah, I don't think this was a great field either. It is nice that he was able to match his career best buyer in this race. And it feels like he's heading the right way. A little bit of a late start to the 5-year-old campaign. The distance is, a pretty major question for this horse. Although I would just point out that he ran deceptively well in this race last year. I know that was a wet track, but that was a hotly contested pace that he was part of, and he was still in the mix in the stretch.
Mama's Gold is a little bit interesting to me at a big price if he can get away to a nice, easy lead. I'm just not sure that's the case with other speeds to his inside. He was part of that fast pace off a layoff 2 starts back, and Donegal Surges ran him down. He was part of a fast pace last time out, and General Banker ran him down. I wish he ran a little bit better last time out, but maybe the 1-turn mile at this point in his career is a little bit sharp. He could be racing himself back into shape in his 3rd start of the form cycle. I'm expecting an improved performance out of Mama's Gold. I'm just not sure if he can work out the right trip.
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff. I also he does seem like a horse who's a little bit better on a wet track, Dan, than he is on a fast track. Maybe he just paid the price. The last race is a little bit hard to defend, but maybe he just paid the price because, as you pointed out, he was he did a lot of hard work off the layoff 2 starts back.
Jackson Heights completes the field, and he should be rallying from off of the pace. He was 3rd most recently in the General Banker race that we showed, but that was a closer's race, wasn't it? It was a fast pace. General Banker came from off the pace. Jackson Heights came from off the pace. General Banker was better than Jackson Heights, and I think he's just a better horse.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, he's just hard to make a case for. And here he's going to sit back, hope for a fast pace, and make one run. And even if that develops, I'm not sure he's the best closer in the race.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Empire Classic. I'm just going to be sitting and watching this one. I think Drake's Passage is the most likely winner. I think he needs to be aggressively ridden from the rail. I just don't love the price he's going to be. I think you have a far more interesting pick in Olympic Dreams, and Donegal Surges is solid as well.
Yeah, Donegal Surges I respect. I just couldn't quite talk myself into him, Dan. Ultimately, I didn't really want any of the short prices in here because I think it's kind of a wide open race. And I like Olympic Dreams. I do think he fits well in here with his good race. And I just think he's a little bit dirtied up right now.
5274 for Mike, 1352 for me. It's the Empire Classic on New York Showcase Sunday at Belmont at the Big A. Good luck.
Hey, let me give you a hot tip. If you liked the content that you've seen before, click on the like and subscribe button right here. And of course, for more DRF videos like Race of the Days, stakes previews, click on the videos right here.